the most common questions I get asked, and I've been asked twice this weekend while I've been out in Marbella, where there's a high concentration of money and wealthy people, is how do you make money from property in the UK? Like, did you start with money? How do you make money? How does it pay for your expenses? People understand that, yeah, you can do flips, you can buy a villa for £1 million or a house in the UK, do it up and sell it for 1.5, for example, and take your 200k profit. But how does that keep you in this lifestyle? How come you can stay here, chilling out, not working? What is property investment and how does it work? And I've been asked this in the UK as well, but really today I just wanted to go into the blueprint I use to build my portfolio and what essentially allows me to live here or wherever I want in the world, have location freedom without really looking like I'm doing much. And to be honest, I don't do much. On my portfolio, it's probably 2 hours, 2 to 3 maximum hours a week if we include communication via the phone, because that's all it mainly is, and checking out quotes and renewing insurances and mortgages, etc. One of the big clues to my blueprint is this letter. This is a letter from one of the mortgage providers saying my mortgage payments are going to change. They're going to go to £298. And if I want to review the rate and bring that down, instead of going on the lender's variable rate, scan that code and I can choose which product I want. This letter symbolises how I made money in the UK and how the UK is a very unique market compared to the rest of Europe or the Middle East, etc., where we can use leverage and literally borrow, remortgage and grow the portfolio using the bank's money. Now, another thing about this is when I logged in to change the interest rates, to change a product, the loan to value was stated at 50 or 40% loan to value. Guys, I bought this property for 70-ish, 78k with 10% deposit when I could only afford 7,800 when I was about 22 years old, 23 years old, slightly more than 10 years ago. So and I've had an interest only payment and I've been putting the money back into growing the portfolio. So it's a 5-bed HMO. The rents are consistently about 1,500. It's more now, it's about 2k a month, if not more. But let's say over the lifestyle, it was about 1,500, 1,800-ish. I've been putting that money back into the whole pot to grow the portfolio, which I'll go through in a minute through the blueprint. But how, if I haven't been paying the mortgage down, has the loan to value dropped from 90% to 55% in just over 10 years? That is a second key to property in the UK, which is properties rise faster than inflation while the debt remains the same. So that's why my loan to value has dropped. I did another I did another product switch on this one. They valued this property without coming out on a desktop valuation at 220k. I bought it for 79k in Salford. I wouldn't even say it's worth 200k. It's probably worth 190, 200 just because of the condition. That loan to value is, I've written it down, 36% loan to value. Again, I bought that with a 15% deposit, 85% loan to value, and it's dropped. And that was bought in 2016. The rent's about the same, £1,600 a month tops, and my mortgage on that will be about £198 for the next 5 years. That's the game in the UK, guys. Stay tuned to this video and I'll explain how this is still achievable today. It does take time. If you're watching this looking to get into property, just know you will make millions, but it will take time. It's not an overnight success. You don't need a heap of money to start with like people think. And you can literally one day live somewhere like this in about 5, 6, 7 years. And people wonder, how do you make your money when you're out at restaurants every day, driving nice cars, chilling in your pool, not really doing much, okay? So do you need loads of money to start? Did you come from a wealthy family? These are the questions I get asked here in Spain, in the UK sometimes. But I feel like in the UK, people do understand buy-to-let a bit more because it was popular as the armchair investor. It was popular for middle class to go to dinner parties and they'd owned a couple of properties. That's dying now, as I've said in my previous videos. Now it's the professional investors. They're getting squeezed out of the market. If you want to do this properly, go hard or go home, which I did say to someone who rang up and inquired who had 3 properties who wanted to grow the portfolio. I said, look, you either grow or you exit. There's no point being the guy with 3 properties. It's not going to work in this legislative environment, this political environment, and this economic environment. But for those who do build a portfolio now, The rewards were even greater than I had, because when I started, everyone was kind of had property. It was very easy. It still is easy, but it was incredibly easy. Imagine I was 20, 21, really working in a call center, getting buy-to-let mortgages. Now, it's that little bit harder. You got to be, I don't know, earning 20, 25K maybe. Property prices have obviously gone up, but so have wages. But the main thing is now there's a lot more demand, guys. Now, when I started, I was focusing on a very, very niche market, which was European students coming over, and they would take my rooms, and it grew like this. Now, I'd probably go to social housing, and I wouldn't even need to advertise the rooms. Not that I paid for adverts. I found a hack where I could put it as Gumtree as a housemate and get it free, and I'd edit the adverts every probably 5 days, and one little edit, like adding a full stop, would boost it to the top, because I worked out the algorithm, and literally without paying, I'd be at the top of the adverts, and then I'd use that as a filter for my other properties and just run. I literally use the same picture of a bed for like 10 years, and that's how I advertise my business for free. But nowadays, you don't even need to do that. So the demand is massive now. So just going back to the UK property market, and why do investors with money want UK property? Now, obviously, massive demand in the UK. So in Spain, just to compare it, or Dubai, for example, where a lot of people think that the property market is better, it isn't, and I'm invested here, is there isn't a shortage of properties for the population. Like if I drive around here and then go to the less affluent areas, even in Marbella, there is less affluent areas, you will see apartments that are like, there isn't much demand for them. So if you're like social housing, which there isn't here, but let's say if you need, there won't be like loads of homeless people. There's hardly any. Okay, so UK is a growing population. It's an island. They're not building any more houses. Land is really hard to find and build profitably. It's going to be even more so due to the tax increases. So it's going to affect building. So as everyone knows in the UK, there's massive demand. That's why it's kind of like a good thing if you own property, but it's also looked down upon by people who don't own property. They're very jealous because it's such a scarce asset in the UK. So you have that particular thing to contend with. Again, in Dubai, you go to Dubai, there's apartments for sale, there's apartments for let, there's like people ringing you, go, do you want to let this, do you want to live here? Like there's empty places. It's so different to the UK. So to understand how you make money in the UK from property, you've got to understand that the market is fully and increasingly in demand, and there's less and less people wanting to engage in the supply. As I've been through different videos, landlords exiting, the older landlords who used to be the dinner party landlords, the middle class landlords exiting. There are new people. I'm getting 21-year-olds coming all the time wanting to invest in property, and frankly, it's the right thing to do. But that doesn't change the fact that a lot of landlords are exiting because they've been through easy times, and why would they want to put up with hard times? Why not cash out now? So there's restricted supply, shortage. Now, let's go back to these two letters. UK property market specifics, leverage. Guys, in the UK, I don't think you understand how easy it is, or you maybe do understand if you do property, how easy it is to fund property. You can go to investors, you can go to banks. There's the main banks, like the high street banks, then there's the buy-to-let banks, then there's the challenger banks, then there's private banks. They'll all lend because UK property is such a secure asset backed by the land registry. No one can take it from you. There's no like disputes. It's just solid place to secure. And even if you've got property with no mortgage, you can use that to fund like the riskiest bit. You want to open like the weirdest business, like a car wash run by dogs, for example, like something crazy, right? I just thought off the top of my head. I don't even know why I thought of that. If you go to the bank and try and get a bank loan without any assets or property, they're going to not even probably engage with you for more than 30 seconds. If you go in and say, by the way, sir, bank manager, yes, I know the idea is crazy, but I do have a property portfolio worth 2 million and it's unencumbered, no mortgage, they'll sign off the loan because the property is so valuable. They know that that's a sure guarantee. If you mess up, they'll take the property. Now, guys, what I'm saying is, why bother going to all this risky business, restaurants, barber shops, online clothing, all of this, what looks popular now, when This business is 10 times easier and 10 times more money, and you will never have to do marketing, you'll never have to compete, you'll never have to, there's hardly any competition. Do you know what I mean? I mean, yes, there is if you want to buy property from auction, Homes and a Hammer kind of do it up and try and squeeze a margin, but just literally buying a property in an area, renting it social, there's hardly any competition, guys. So, and it's getting less so. I found now that the last house I bought, had a few people view it. I made the best offer. Guys, I'm getting all my money out. It was like 100k below market value. Why? It was an existing HMO and there's not that demand anymore. So if it was a first time buyer house, obviously I wouldn't have got that deal. It's an existing HMO, 6-bed HMO. The existing landlord hadn't done a commercial val. He just wanted to sell. He's got another beauty business, which he's pumping money to because they need to do online marketing. They need to be constantly messing with paid ads. We don't need to do that properly. So he sold out. He's made a loss on it because he had to pay the arrangement fee on his remortgage. I bought it, 100k profit in it, and I'm going to get a commercial val and take all my money out. And his rents were like, probably market rent guided by the agent, where I'm going to do a separate video on it. But if I was him, if he was my client, I would have said, don't sell it. This is what you need to do. Rent should be 1,000, not 500. It's 6 flats. Do a commercial valuation, get 100k out, and then keep 100k and then do what you want with that. Instead of selling the property, making 7k loss and just getting your deposit back and losing the 1k a week income. I will do a separate video on it, guys, but this property will make 1k a week. It's crazy. But this is what I'm saying. So the demand, the competition is not there as it used to be. You wouldn't be able to get that deal 6 years ago. Far too many landlords, far too many. And with the legislative changes, no one wants to buy tenanted property. Guys, that was tenanted, that's why I got a good deal. If it was vacant, I probably wouldn't have got that. I would have got a deal, but it wouldn't have been that good. We're buying tenanted properties all the time for clients. We found a hack where we get like 30% below market value just because they're under rented. We have a good, one of the best legal teams that help us put the rents up, evict tenants, etc. And then we just remortgage and get the cash out and go again. That's the model at the moment. No refurbs, nothing. So, guys, if you want to learn more about that, and see live case examples, drop a yes in the comments and you'll get routed to my free property investment guides that will teach you all of this for free anyway. If you want to work with us for sourcing or mentoring, again, it's all in one package, link in the description. So funding is easy, buying is relatively easy. Renting is the easiest. I mean, yes, what I always say is rent slow. Evict fast. Well, not evict, but give notice. Rent slow. You're going to have 100 people in any given city apply for your properties. Even my clients tell me, like, Niv, I can't believe the amount of people. I said, like, slow down. You don't need to rent it in 2 days. Rent slow. Give notice fast. We're already getting problem tenants in my own portfolio where I'm thinking, I had a tenant going, the tiles have fallen off the wall. They've been there for 8 months. I said, he didn't move in with tiles off the wall. Yeah, and the cupboard's broken as well, but we've got the inventory, the cupboard wasn't broken. What was their response? If you don't fix it, we're gonna call the council. Okay, that's fine. I'll go and fix it. Just know you'll be getting your notice though, because now I think the most effective way to do before I get restricted in putting up your rent, and these are the kind of tenants that will go to tribunal for rent increase, even though they're paying good rent, over 1,100. I'm going to give it social housing for a couple of £100 more, not because of the money, because I don't have to deal with tenants like that, because in the future they're going to be a problem, especially when this legislation comes in where you can't evict, where you can't put the rent up as to market rent, you have to go to tribunal. So that's what I said, rent slow, give notice fast. So they're getting a notice. It's just the attitude. It's not because we had to fix a cupboard. My maintenance is every Sunday. I pay every Sunday once a month. I pay 500 quid, full day, 2 lads. They go around, do all the little snagging in the whole portfolio in Salford, Manchester, not the other places, right? Just the HMOs and stuff. 500 quid a month, okay? So it's included anyway. And my portfolio brings in 38, 40k minimum, sometimes more. So in that area, so 500 quid a month, that's my maintenance. Obviously one-off costs are different, like a boiler change, but yeah, so rent slow, give notice fast. You can't always tell. These were fine, but the attitude changed. So that's that. So you've got massive demand. You've got that again. That's not the same in every country. Yeah, there's demand in Marbella, there's demand in Dubai, for example, but there's not you can't get a property, they have a choice. Here in England, most of the time you can't actually get the property you want. Even me, when I was looking for renting, I was up against like doctors with 2 salaries, and they would like, well, you know you've got a limited company, you make all this money, but at the end of the day, the landlord's probably going to choose 2 doctors because they're less likely to mess about. Fair enough, I would as well. So, and I make a lot more. But the thing is, that's how competitive the UK market is. So imagine if you're just like a normal salary person. Now in that HMO, I bought one of the rooms for 600 quid a month, and it's not the biggest room, it's a double room, it's legal, but it's not massive. It's rented by a professional teacher. So that's the state of the UK market. Constant house price increases. Again, going back to this, right? So in the UK, property prices there's not a year where you could buy a property for less than you could the year before, only in the financial market crash, right? And even then, now that's caught up, and now that house is more than it was, a lot more. So one thing to note about that though is that when that happened in 2008-9, the worst areas have only just caught up last year. So like the Teessides, the Middlesbroughs, the Mexboroughs, have only just caught up, guys. So that just shows don't buy in poor areas, whereas London caught up within a few years and went above what they dropped to. So that just shows that the premium areas always gain the most and lose the least. Okay. In the UK, you've got HMO multi-let. So it's not common in Dubai, in Spain, other countries to have HMOs. You wouldn't get a HMO full of teachers and doctors in Spain. It just wouldn't happen. Whereas in the UK, it would. And that's where you make your money. You can make money from single lets as well, but you've got HMO, you've got multi-lets, which attract a higher multiple of lending. So you could buy a normal house, convert it to a HMO, which I do all the time, or just a little conversion, get a commercial, semi-commercial valuation, pull all your money back out and buy another one. And that's how you build a portfolio. So you've got all these features, and the main one is a remortgage and a leverage. You can't, in Spain, I've got a mortgage. I can't remortgage if I do this property up and it's worth 3 mil. I can't just remortgage, even if it's 50%, 40% loan to value. It's not a product here. You can with via an international bank, but they'll take a charge on the assets in the UK, so it's literally a UK bank. You can't do that in Dubai. You can't just remortgage and borrow more. And in the UK, that's all done on a limited company. So it's not even on your name. So it's geared up to make money from property. So I said to you from the start, I've told people, been out for dinner with people, and have said, well, you can't just buy property in Europe with no money. In Germany, you can't just be a landlord that owns 40 properties without any money. Well, in the UK, guys, you only need 10% first-time buyer. You put your 10% in, you rent it out, make sure you're clearing about £1,000 a month from the property. Your rent's always going to go up. Your costs are going to average out. When the more units you've got, it'll flatline. It'll be quite a lot at first because of economies of scale, it'll flatline. Prices go up more than inflation. With bearing all these 3 factors in mind, this is how we build a portfolio, the blueprint. Year 1, 10K goes into the property. Hopefully you buy it below market value, but I'm not even considering remortgaging because this could go a lot faster. You make £1,000 a month. Let's say you've got £2,000 of expenses, like as in maintenance. £1,000 a month after mortgage, right? In year 1. In year 1, you've got 1 property. In year 2, you've got another job as well, guys. So this is a side hustle for now. In year 2, you use the £1,000 a month profit. You take another mortgage. You keep the same house, which is still making £1,000. This is exactly what I did, guys. You'd use that for a second house. You might have to top it up a little bit. Obviously, these figures aren't exact. You might have to add 5K in from your job. You keep your expenses minimal at this age, right? Now you've got 2 properties. So you've saved all the rent from your first one. You've reinvested in the business. You have the original one plus another one. Year 3, now you've got 2 houses making 1K a month, which is 2K a month. Now, this is very simplistic, but you're making 10K, 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 30K a month, okay? Minus expenses, right? Whatever. Then you do 10%, 10%, 10%. You've got 3 houses. Now, guys, one caveat here is obviously you can't get 10% mortgages all the time. You're going to drop. You're going to have to put 15% deposit in. But it's just a very simplistic example because I haven't, at the same time you have to put more money in, I haven't considered remortgaging. So in year 2, you could remortgage the first one and get enough for 2 more. This is very simplistic, but then you can see how you can just grow. In year 3, you got 3 houses. You're making 3K a month. In year 4, you can have 4 houses. Imagine you remortgage one of these, you get another 2, then you've got 5. All the time, the rent, you're pulling in the rent and it's going to property. Now, obviously, if you buy a property, which some of my younger clients, they don't do because I don't let them, but you don't buy a property, rent it out and spend the rent. That's not going to be, any business you have to reinvest in, any business, whatever you're doing, shops, online business, whatever, you have to reinvest in. But it comes a time where maybe after year 10, probably 10 years, you'll have a portfolio of probably 20, let's say. What did I have after 10 years? I had a bit more than 20, but I bought well. If you buy well, you could get that to 30, right? After 10 years, I probably had 25-ish. Okay. And then it's gone massively because the inflation and the cities I bought in, the locations done really well, and I've learned how to get more, right? And the rents have gone up a lot more as well after COVID. So let's say you have 30 after 10 years. Then, guys, that's when the fun starts, because now you're pulling in over 30k a month, yeah? You could buy a property, you could do this every month, not every year then, every month. You might not want to, but you could do this every month. You could also put 10k away for your living expenses and live wherever you want in the world. And then you could invest 10k in something that returns fast, like crypto. I've got clients who do this, and then 10k to grow the portfolio, so every 3 months you're buying a property. At the same time, you're pulling remortgage money, it's all going back in, life's good. That is how you build a property portfolio from 10k, very simplistically, but it does work. I've done it myself. Guys, if you don't know who I am, I've been buying property since I was 19, 20 years old, doing it for over 14 years, coming up to 15 years. I've got probably 10, 40, probably just trying to work out the portfolio. It's over 10 million. Seeing which ones to include and not. Probably won't include this one. It brings in around 50k a month on a good month. So that's just from property. So this is all doable. And now I literally don't do anything. And as a builder's comment, well, the head project manager, do you ever do any work? What do you do? Not really, no. I've got a property portfolio. Oh, yeah. So you inherited property and etc. in London? Nope. Built a property portfolio. How did you do that? I used to be a real estate agent. Yeah, but I wasn't selling properties. I was building my own portfolio. Guys, if you sell properties, you're always back to square one. You do. If I was flipping every year, I'd have I'd have over $1 million in the bank or whatever, 3 mil probably. But I wouldn't have any income, because every time I sell a property, I go back to I've got mates who do this. It takes 2, you can only do 2-3 a year, big projects. You're going to make like 20, 30k, but it's short-term money. If you do this, remortgage, use a bank, it's infinite returns. I've got some properties like the one I just told you about where I've got all my money out. Well, people don't understand that. Like literally, there's no debt on my name, it's on the company name. I've got all my money out and I'm servicing the debt. Like I could afford the mortgage like 4 times over. One thing I would say then is, are you waiting for the right time, guys? Or are you running out of time? Bear in mind, any business takes time, right? Whatever you're doing, but let's say we're doing this. It's going to take you more than 5 years. Not 10 now, I'd say I was going very slow, but let's say I was also in my early 20s living life, etc. And I did spend some rent money traveling. But you want to do this as soon as possible, even if you're in your 30s, even if you're in your 40s, because you only need to do this. You only need 3, 4, 5 good properties and it will change your life. And guys who are younger, 1 property will change your life, because the first property is most important. I'm sorting out clients' portfolios now where they probably didn't buy in the right areas, but they've still got money. So that just shows that this model works. I've got one client who remortgages every 2 years, and that funds his lifestyle. So it's just really easy, guys. But don't wait for the right time. There's never a right time to buy property. The right time was always yesterday. The next best time is today. And what I say is running out of time, because who wants to be here or wherever you want to live in the world doing what you want to do when you're 70? As Warren Buffett says, don't save all the sex for old age. You want to have fun now. So get it as soon as possible. 1 year, you might buy 6. I've done it for clients, done it for myself. That'll change your life, guys. You don't need 38 properties like I've got. You don't need it, but you can have it. And then it's just a case of what do you want. If you want 4 cars, you want a holiday every month, etc., then you just buy more properties or remortgage, buy proper good areas and good locations and all money out deals. If you want to chill, you can just have 10. And you want 10. Most of my clients, Niv, I want 10k a month from property. It's relatively easy, guys. So our sourcing is geared towards getting this income. We do source where you can make 30k on a flip, but when it comes down to it, clients are like, you know what, I'll keep it. Now, guys, the other thing I'd say is stamp duty's gone up, and I've done a video on it and I'm not happy about it. And in April, it's going to go up tiered to another 2% over 125, which not many property gurus know, right? It's still very cheap. You pay 10% in most countries. Even in Dubai, tax-free, you pay DLD, Dubai Land Department taxes, which is about 5%, if not more. Guys, UK property, especially if you're wealthy and you're overseas, it's nothing. We're paying like minimal stamp duty. That's the only cost for business. Well, it's not the only cost. You've got insurance, etc., but there's no red tape, there's no bureaucracy. You don't have to get a license. Most countries you have to have a license to even open a business. Here, you might need a property license, but it's a tick box exercise. Like, it's literally go on the council website, apply for a selective license, and it's granted. It cannot not be, there's a thing in the law that says it cannot not be granted unless you've got a criminal record, which would affect your behaviour as a landlord or discrimination towards tenants. It has to be, what's the point of having a license that says it has to be granted? Do you know why? Because there's so much demand for property, the government don't want councils just going, no, I don't like you. You know, like they do for planning, no, I don't think that's a good idea. We won't grant planning. They're not allowed to do that with licensing. That's the only thing you need to be a landlord in the UK. Insurance, a good credit if you're borrowing, selective license in some areas, usually the better areas, sourcing, solicitors, good mortgage broker, that's it. We've got the whole thing tried and tested for over 10 years, guys, and most of my clients are benefiting from that all the time. Have I used the same mortgage broker I used to use 10 years ago? No, because I've evolved and I've found the best people. Am I using the same builders? No, I've found the best people. Am I buying in the same areas? Yes, because I know how to choose areas. But I've been priced out of that area, so I'm buying the next best area. And I'm buying it for tenants as well, all around the Northwest, guys, and all geared to doing this. You can't do this in every area, as I said. It's just not possible. You can't do this down south, Devon, Cornwall, etc. It doesn't work. Marbella, for example. This is specifically good for cities in the Northwest. I've done it a few times in Sheffield, for example, Leeds, etc., Sheffield, Northwest. I won't tell you exactly where we're buying that for clients, but this is specifically geared for that because that 10k is on a 100k house. Your sweet spot's like 130 to 160k or less if you can. Guys, we've even got our own in-house build team that does HMO conversions, but you don't really need it. Like, we're trying to buy existing things. And why are we buying existing properties that are already HMOs? Even to this day, why am I buying it? Because I don't need to spend money on construction. And the money I'm saving, even if I'm making 30k a month or 50k a month net, that money, construction could cost 50k for basic 4-bed HMO, BRRR, okay? The last one was like 35. Well, that could buy like 2 more or 1 more property. Probably 2 with my sourcing. So what's the point of going through all that, renovating it, losing rental income, when I could buy one already done, probably below market value, save that and buy another 2 and then get it to this faster. Now, not every strategy is suited for every single person. That's why we do an individual planning and we do a holistic approach according to your age, your life, your income, etc. Some clients have 500 grand in the bank where it might be actually more beneficial to do the BRRRs and build out the portfolio that way. Guys, we tend to do a mix of strategies for every single person, but obviously there's restraints and some clients have a lot more money than others. But I've built portfolios of people who come to me with 20k, 15k before. So, and they're the ones usually who are younger, so they do have a lot of time on their hands, which is what you really need if you've only got 10 to 15 to 20k to achieve for this level where you're literally making 10k a month. So that 10k that they took 2 years for is 10k a month now. I know which properties to buy, I know which properties not to buy, I know which properties are going to help you achieve this, I know which properties don't achieve this. One key example, guys, and I keep seeing it on Instagram, is these property influencers saying, buy this house, 50k, you'll make 300 quid a month, it's an ROI of 20% or whatever it is, right? Buy this house for 50k, you make 500 quid a month, 10% ROI, it's a no-brainer because everyone wants 10%. £500 a month minus your mortgage is, because you're not buying cash, right? I'm assuming, because if you had 50k cash, you certainly wouldn't be buying a 50k house. I'd be buying a HMO, but anyway. 500 quid a month minus your mortgage of, even if it was like 180, 200, that's never 300k profit. It's never, and if the boiler goes, the profit's gone for the year. That's never going to get you to here. Doesn't matter about ROI. Forget about ROI. It's basic. ROI is basic bollocks, right? It's for people who've gone on a course and have been taught the most important thing in property is ROI. No, it's not. The most important thing in property is the actual number, not the percentage. What that means is you could have an ROI of 5% but still make 50 grand a month. Okay? That's just an extreme example, right? So ROI, yeah, you can have a ROI of 70% if you want and make 20 quid a month. Do you know what I mean? In maths, right? The most important thing is trying to make £1,000 a month. This is what I've done and this is how I've got successful. Okay? I can't tell you about everyone else because half of them lie. Half of them have got joint venture partners. The other half have got like 50 business partners. Most of my clients, they come to me by themselves. They've hustled hard, they've got families or they're younger. There's not 4 of them in the company, right? So you need to make sure you're making or trying to make it £1,000 a month. If it's 800, I've got properties that I spent 50k deposit and make 800 quid a month. But it's Article 4 areas and it's just to park money. So anything around 1,000, 800, 1,000, you can very easily scale up then. Don't be fooled into ROI 10%, 500 quid a month rent. Let's buy it. I get more than 500 quid a room. Second thing, going back to that point, buy an area where you can rent per room. Because as I just said, what would you rather? 500 quid a month for property or £1,000 a month for property or 500-600 quid a room. Some of these properties which I bought were £1,000 a month rent. They're now £1,000 a month per room. Or not quite, but 700-800 quid per room. And now I've got money, I've changed it into en suites and I'm getting more. Guys, one of my clients just bought a property in Warrington through me, sourced through me. He's getting, the old landlord, the same guy I bought off, was getting 600 or 530. He's now getting over 950 a room without doing anything. That's the market. You need to buy in these areas. Don't buy in an area where the rent is like a working class area where there's no massive industry, which I will explain in my book, by the way, in my free property investment guide. Don't buy in those areas because the rent's never going to, the rent's never going to be 2k a month because there's no money in the town to pay that. Okay, every summer in Marbella, I can rent this villa out for 10k a week. Why? Because money comes here, right? If I bought in Benidorm, I wouldn't get that. It doesn't matter how nice the villa is. It could be twice the size of this. It's not going to get it. Why? Because it's not the same money that goes there. Same in Manchester. In Manchester, it's quite feasible, or Salford, or the northwest cities, that in 5 years, the rent will be 2k a room per room. Is that going to happen in Barnsley, or is that going to happen in Wales, in a little village? No, because the money doesn't go there. The industry doesn't go there, so you don't get the opportunity to constantly grow. So that's my blueprint. It is in my free property investment guide, guys. So click a yes below and you'll get all this. You'll get the areas we're buying. You'll get access to a team. If you want to book a call, might be a good fit to work with you, might not, but you can certainly have a call with my team. But I would urge you to do this business. It's the best business, guys. And that's why in Marbella, where there's multi-millionaires, I get asked all the time, what do you do? How come you don't work? Are you not nervous one day you've got money? How do you afford a refurb here? How do you afford 2 cars, 3 cars? All of that. How can you live here without doing anything? That's why I get asked that. Because I've got this business that makes recurring income. And not only that, if I need 100k and I go over this refurb, for example, or I want 100k because I want to buy an apartment for my mum, I can just go tap into one of my 50 houses right? And remortgage it, or just take the money out from rent, because the loan to values have gone up so much, as I explained at the start of the video. So I would urge you to do this business. Obviously you're into property, that's why you're watching this video, but a lot of people are like, shall we? Yeah, you can do crypto. I do a bit of crypto, but it's just fun money, because when you start making 30 to 50k a month, okay, then you can start having fun. As I said, 30 to 50, you own all the properties, you don't have business partners, you've got a very good portfolio going up all the time. Then you can start having fun. You can start doing 100k. I'm doing a 200k refurb here. You can put 20k a month into Bitcoin. You can have a G-Wagon, Range Rover, go on holidays, etc., etc., etc. At a youngish age. So, whereas if you do other businesses, even flipping houses, you're constantly on the lookout for the next property. You sell it, you make a bit of money, on the lookout for the next property. If you spend that money, you don't have a business. Okay, that's why I don't do flipping or any other business, because you need money for stock. If you build this right, you'll never need money. You'll never be short of money again, because every month I could spend all the money this month, right? I could easily blow 50k this month. In 30 days, I'm getting it back. That's without saving. So, and that's without remortgaging. So at that point, you've got a nice business. You don't need to worry, guys. And then you can start doing flips if you want. I don't even bother now, but you can do if you want, because you've got the money then. But don't be, I want to make 100k on a flip. Make 100k on a flip, put it in the bank, see how quickly it disappears, guys. After a year, you won't have 100k. Then you'll be in the same position. What you want is a business that runs itself. It's a cash machine, guys. And I'm still buying. How do you buy properties all the time while doing a refurb, while doing nothing in the daytime? That's what I get asked. Well, I don't do anything because I make money in my sleep. This doesn't really get spent. My expenses are 10k a month, whatever. So I've got a nice, healthy residual. So I buy properties out of cash flow. If one day I see a property that's 400k and is worth 800k, what I'll do is I'll just go to one of these properties, tap into it and borrow 20% against the value and fund that one, and then remortgage, get my money back out, and then my cash flow's gone up by 5k a month forever. It's simple if you know what you're doing. See you next time, guys.